program today is on the history of the Brookport Library and how a group of individuals came together to turn a dream into a reality. We're fortunate today to have some of these individuals with us. We have Don Askew, Chairman of the Brookport Betterment Committee, Troy Miller, our newest volunteer and board member, and Ann Douglas, the head librarian and secretary of the library board since its inception. And I'm Judy Askew, chairman of the library board for the last 10 years. Don, how about a quick rundown on the first couple of months of the library and its really rocky start?
Oh, Rocky's right. I guess it all started back when we formed the old Brookport Betterment Committee over a kitchen table. The idea being that we would develop some initiatives that would improve the quality of life around in Brookport and the surrounding area. And once we had organized the BBC, we held what was called the first Brookport Fun Day. And while we were there, the first thing we did was we decided to ask the people what they wanted. And so we ran a survey, and we actually sent out 600 surveys. Sheets, and we actually got almost 500 of them back. It was pretty wild, but we did. And then we rank ordered what the people told us they wanted, because what we wanted was not important. What they wanted was what was important. And so when we did that, we found out that the first thing they wanted was a first aid course to be taught there in Brookport. The second thing the people wanted was a continuing education program, like a high school GED program that would be taught there in Brookport, because we had a lot of people that didn't have transportation, couldn't go other places. But the third thing that they wanted was the real challenge. They wanted a library. And they wanted a library that could be theirs. And we had, again, a lot of people without transportation. They couldn't get to Metropolis or the McCracken County Library here. And they also couldn't afford a big library fee, but they wanted a library. So we set out to do that. We accomplished the first two things fairly easily, and the library was really a challenge. But we started out to do that, and a fellow by the name of Leo Motley and myself and several other people around town began to put together a plan to build a library. Our intent was to put it on the ground, get it running, turn it over to the city, which we did. We developed a plan to do that. And one of the things that we needed was a place to put it. So we put the library wanted to put it rather, in a kind of an abandoned school building that was owned by the school there at Brookport. And when we talked to the school, they said, yes, we'll be glad to let you have 2 rooms, but you'll have to take them like they are. They haven't been used in years, and that we'd have to, they'd have to charge us $1 a year. And we'd be happy to do that.
Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, good deal. The only problem was that the city decided that they didn't want to have anything to do with the library at that point in time. So all of a sudden we found ourselves having to basically do it ourselves. So we said, okay, we'll just go ahead and press on with it. And we incorporated the BBC then as a nonprofit organization, so that we could enter into legal contracts, which we did.
Smart, okay.
And then we went out and said, okay, we've got a building, we've got everything that we need to have an embryonic library, but folks, you're going to have to help us. So if you want a library, everybody in Brookport's got to do something about it if you can. We call for volunteers, and people came from everywhere, little kids, old people, carpenters, plumbers, everybody came and helped us clean and paint and build equipment and build shelves and tables, and then we went around town on a Saturday and honked the horns of our cars, and we got people to donate books.
I remember that.
Oh yeah, it was really kind of a wild time. We got our books started that way, and we had ladies who were learning how to be librarians, and
we certainly did.
Oh, it was rocky.
What a history Brookport Library has. You realize that we've grown from our abandoned school building with no heat and water to a building that holds 10,000 volumes, 5 computers, a reading room, and we've got 3 acres of ground to expand.
Well, I remember our first building when it was cold.
Oh,
it was so cold. I had the electric heater sitting under my chair and desk so that I could type. It was just so cold. And then in the summertime, it was so hot. Sweat just poured off. You could water plants. That was something.
Well, it looks like I'm the new person on the block here. I wonder if you all could tell me how you got organized and you got all this together.
Well, it was 15, 16 years ago, and
Yeah.
this is, as Don was saying, the bunch of volunteers got together. The old school building was actually used for storage, so we had
Yes.
to clean the rooms.
Right.
We had 2 rooms that was ours, so we had to clean those out. And this is where the community support came in. Kids came in, they picked things out, threw out trash. The rest of a lot of the other citizens that you
Yeah.
mentioned, they also came and painted the building. I mean, it really was a community effort for that.
How about a couple of pictures there? Oh, now there's Mr. Motley. He's one of the
Yeah.
organizers there with 2 of the young people that he managed to get to come in and work there. And then we were ready for our grand opening. Oh, look at that. Doesn't that, that's amazing from where we are now.
And if you had seen these rooms before, they were just cluttered with debris.
Oh, yes. Remember how we organized our first book drive? Like Don said, we drove around town. We had an article in the local paper to let everybody know, and they actually came out to the curb and put their books in the back of our pickup trucks. And people would come out, and now we've got so many books that people have given us that we have to sell some to make room for the new ones.
Well, I remember when we had the first volume. You wanted to put everything up
Oh,
on the
yes,
shelf, but
yes.
I had to be organized. I
Yep.
wanted it done right. So we couldn't
Yes.
put them on the shelf until they were cataloged. And then after that, that was our first book. Then we had to have fundraisers.
Oh, yes.
And I think the first fundraiser we had was that Multicultural Taste Fest.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was.
Okay,
Good.
could we see that, please?
We got a picture of a taste fest.
There we are. Oh, there you just been tasting, it looks like.
Yeah, a little advanced tasting there.
Yeah,
Ann.
again, the community came together. It was a potluck. People brought dishes from their ethnic background, and that worked out well. We had over, I think, 200.
Oh, that was a delicious fundraiser.
Yeah.
Next picture, please. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, there's all the kids with the books.
Oh, that's some of our first story hour kids.
Yeah, it's hard to believe those story hour kids have now graduated from high school and are probably going on into college or life. You guys remember the barn that Wayne Holman built for
Oh,
us so that we could have
yeah.
a story hour and use the barn?
We had
There
Yeah,
we
there it
are.
is.
We
It's
did
still
several-
using it today.
several puppet shows that
Yeah.
we would do with that. I think that looks like our Christmas puppet show. that we
Yes,
had,
that was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh, that was.
And that was a cold building whenever we put that on too, because I think some guy brought one of those big blast heaters in and heated the building right before we got ready for everyone to come in. We were in that building across from the old school for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And it was really traumatic whenever the school board came and told us that they needed the building to be torn down. It's really mixed emotions because they said it had to be torn down because they were going to put in a pre-K. And we knew that we needed a pre-K in the town.
Yeah.
But we were so upset over the thought of losing our library. It was really sad.
Yeah, it was very traumatic, but we were lucky in that we had a local businesswoman that let us use her building to store our books and shelving units in. If it wasn't for her, I don't know what we would have done with all those books.
Oh, I don't either.
Not to mention all that furniture and stuff that we had in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading one of the scrapbooks while I was getting this show together, and I found a newspaper article about us closing the original library and getting ready to put all the books into storage. And there was a comment there from our Louise Motley, and she said, I have no doubt that God will provide us a place, to put this library. but he certainly expects us to pack up all these books. And you were
We did.
you were the organized one. Thank goodness that somebody in my life is organized here, because you had us doing books. Let's say we had fiction, we had nonfiction, we had children's books, and then we even had the boxes numbered in that sequence so that when they went into storage, they were stored in certain rooms so that we could move them right out and in when we found a new building. And you know, we expected to find a place, but it took us almost a year to raise enough money to buy the older home there on 3rd Street. And then it was time to renovate again. It's a good thing all the memories from the 5 years ago had faded a little bit whenever we got ready to start working.
Yeah, I remember crawling under the house
Oh,
in the
yeah.
crawl space, and I had to build piers because I knew we'd have the weight of the books to worry about on that floor.
Oh, yeah.
So we had to support the floor joists even extra, so I was building piers under there. And then, I even did some unplumbing. Remember the bathtub?
Oh, yes.
Because we used
yes,
to
we put
store
the board
books
across,
in the
yeah.
bathtub, and we
Yeah.
didn't want those to get wet, so we
No.
unhooked that
Yeah.
water supply line.
Another picture, please. There we are on the front porch
Yeah.
of our new building.
Well,
Okay.
We did an awful lot of hammering and painting and working and crawling around, but again, don't forget that all that hammering and painting and everything that was done was all done with volunteer labor.
Oh, yes.
I mean, and people were standing out there saying still that even in that we couldn't do it. You know, they said, well,
Right.
it'll never work, you'll never be able to do it. But by golly, we
Yeah,
did
well,
it.
that picture, we had to take that sink out. That became our juvenile room. We redid the painting, and also I think we had to repanel that wall
Oh,
once we
yeah.
took the sink out.
Yes, and also barricade the door so someone didn't try to open it and go down 5 feet to the ground.
Yeah, that back door did not have any stairways behind
No.
it.
Next picture. Oh, now here we are. Here we are after the move, and I think we have another picture there after the move. Now there's the building.
Yeah, that's our building.
Yeah.
We had to have a new deck built on there because it was difficult for older people to get up.
Oh, that was when we had the story hour there.
Yeah, we were doing different countries that year, so we decorated our building that way with the different flags. Here's
As-
one of our story. Yeah.
As I'm listening to this, I'm just fascinated by this story that's going on here. A new building, it's hard to believe that you could outgrow the old building in 5 short years.
Well, we did.
It seems like this little town was ready to read and ready for somewhere to read. You had the building ready for story hour?
Yes, we did.
Sure did.
And,
There you are, right there.
yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Our big check.
Money, money, and we had $9,000 in a state grant. We were able to buy our first computer and a printer, and even subscribe to the internet. We really started getting a crowd then, and it opened up a whole new world for our town. And not only that, but we got our first ever new books. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and instead of the donated hand-me-downs, which are fine and wonderful, but it sure was nice to be able to go on all those shopping trips for the new books.
Yeah, but expenses were going up too.
Yeah.
You remember when we first got going, it cost us like $70 a month to run the library. And by now we were up to about $200 a month because of all the additional AC insurance and things that we had to have. I remember you guys holding all sorts of fundraisers and chili suppers and selling excess books and asking for donations from just anybody and everybody. And you know, somehow you guys kept it together. I mean, you know, it was kind of going from hand to mouth, so to speak, but it kept going. No matter, it seemed like whenever we needed something, it happened. And then along came a really large check
Yes.
from a anonymous donor who just insisted that anonymity be the part of this whole thing. And it was really wonderful because we could take some of that large check and we put it in a savings account, if you remember.
Right.
And then the interest on that thing came in and gave us enough to meet our operating expenses.
Yeah.
Right.
each month, and that was that
we could
really
pay the phone bill
really
and the
gave
light
us
bill.
really gave us a big kick up and took a little pressure off.
And the internet.
That was great.
You know, somewhere about 4 years later, we had so many books coming in from people that wanted to help us that we were jammed in the building again. We were having a monthly board meeting, and Rosemary, one of our board members, said, I am so tired of taking care of Wayne's building. The family wants to try to sell it, but who in the world would buy it? I think all of us at the same time said, building? What building? You know, it was just literally a blessing that was dropped in our eager laps.
Yeah, this really was a wild ride then, because all of a sudden we had this opportunity to buy this new building. We had the money to do it with, and it was just like something had been dropped on us, you know. But now we had to go through all the logistics of actually buying it, and then heaven help us all, moving again. And we had to give the folks time to get out of the garage that they had in that old building, and find contractors, do all the paperwork, handle all the legal stuff, most of which we didn't really know how to do, so we were kind of fumbling through that whole thing. And of course, we needed also to raise enough money then
For the renovation.
to renovate it and finish the project.
Yeah, we were able to buy the building, but then
Yeah.
fixing it up is another thing.
Should be some pictures.
Oh,
up
there are. Okay.
somewhere along the way.
There we
Yeah.
are. There, wandering through the building there.
Should
This-
point out that this building was a 4,000 square foot building,
Oh,
which
it
was it's like
a
a
huge
football
building.
field compared to what we'd been in.
there we are. Yeah, that was in the front room, as they call it, in the upholstery, and there we are painting.
Painting away.
Oh, that was a barn and a half to paint, wasn't it?
That it was. That it was. But it went quickly. It went quickly. Despite all that, and
Again
then
with volunteer labor, right?
always with volunteer labor. That's what we are. And then finally, when it came time to make the actual move,
Yeah.
we moved on Make a Difference Day in October, and I think we even had a police escort. There we are there.
Yeah.
Lined up all the trucks. There's our volunteers packing the books again.
I think we went from one building to the other in a little over 5 hours. Oh yeah, there
Leo.
we go.
It looks like you just about wore out poor Mr. Motley there. I'm just glad he had a chair that he could fall over in and collapse in there.
Yeah, right. Well, we were still using volunteer labor to do all the painting and all the cleaning and all the stuff that was necessary, even though we did have a contractor. We hired a contractor to come in and do the major stuff that we just couldn't do. Because it wasn't anything except a big empty Butler building, and you had to be finished off on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then it was time for the open house so the community could see their new building, and then they came with money. Look at there. Oh, that was wonderful. I remember those checks were so nice.
And very timely, very timely. We needed those. Now there's a story. We had so much fun with our story hours. I think this session we were doing the folk heroes, American folk heroes, and this came from the Pecos Bill story. So they made their cowboy vests out of that one. And then another one that we had was let's go to the zoo. There we are in our safari outfits. There's our theme, let's go to the zoo, and we did a lot of the zoo animals there. As you can see, that's our craft session that we did. Oh, and then we even did a bodacious bugs.
Oh, yes.
That was we had some great puppets for that show.
Well, it was really marvelous to have all this for the community, but we sure can't do it on $70 a month anymore.
So what does it take to keep us open these days? I mean, I heard about that $1 million drive that you put on. How did that work out?
Well, the goal was to reach $1 million. It was a little short, like 990,000, but the thing about it is, seriously, we got 1,200 new members, and they gave us almost $5,000, and they came from 35 states and 5 foreign countries. We got coverage from 3 television stations, several newspapers, local radio stations, and then we managed to get on National Public Radio. Here's one of my favorite pictures. There we
that's good.
are, yes. This is a man from New York City, a lawyer. He heard about us on National Public Radio. He and his wife and a friend flew into St. Louis and drove down to check us out, and he brought down $1,000, and then he bought 30 cards for his friends, and then his friends sent another 500.
You see, just doing a little math, altogether that sounds like it covered about a year's expenses. But then what'd you do?
Well, last year we put a history book together. If I could get this here. It's the Brookport History. It's a compilation of various histories that we had done, and this was a big seller. We got the city council bought our first 200 copies so that we can get started with the selling, and we have done 3 reprints
Yeah, 3
from
reprints.
this. And so we're still selling this for $10. And it is the history of Brookport. We had it ready for the sesquicentennial, but there's a lot of pictures in here of old Brookport and information.
Well, now we're faced with our yearly problem. How do we pay for insurance and lights and gas and remodeling? Well, we've never had an annual fundraiser, but at our last board meeting, our treasurer, Leah Sladen, showed us a draft of a fund letter that she had written. She couldn't be here today because somebody's got to keep the library open.
Yeah, this is a letter, I think, that Leah had written. I see the goal is about to try to raise approximately $8,000 per year, which would give you expenses plus an extra $2,000 for miscellaneous things like story hour and some of the programs that
Reading
we have
incentive
now.
programs.
But we keep expanding this. You know, we've got full-blown computers and things that we have to pay to keep going. But that's not all that much. That's like 80 people or 80 companies giving us $100 a year, or I guess 8,000 people giving us $1 a year. Either way it goes. That's not a whole lot more than the cost of a cup of coffee.
Right.
And hey, listen, I'll kick in $1 here for this to
All
support
right.
the Brookport
Yeah, me too.
Library.
My
I
dollar
will too.
in.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Here we go.
Hey, all right,
let's-
we're on our way here, gang.
All right, yeah.
All right, good.
Well, how about you folks out there? How would you like to help us keep this dream alive? Be part of something good? You'll feel great, and we need all the help we can get. Just send your donations to the Brookport Library, Post Office Box 308, Brookport, Illinois, or call us at 618-564-3630 or 618-564-2943, or better yet, come and visit us at 7417 South US 45 and experience the dream for yourself.
Thanks a lot, gang. That's how the dream came to be reality.
Yes.
And we're still going strong. We got a lot more to go.
Wonderful success story.